Hello, friends. Before we dive into section 124, I want to just extend a thank you to so many of you that have been participating in our monthly current training on inviting diligent learning. I want to highlight just a comment that will help frame what we do today. This is from Sister Walker, who was newly called this year. And if you remember, as we discussed what it meant for Joseph Smith to learn for himself and how we can help our students do that, meaning not just to receive what a teacher tells them, but to learn for themselves something deep and something personal. Sister Walker just shared, I think that Joseph Smith's learning experience included everything that he saw, felt, and heard. If it was only something that he saw, it could be easy to brush off. But when it is a combination of all those things, it becomes something that can't be denied. What I want for my students to experience is the same. I want them to see the benefits of living the gospel and its relevance in their lives. I want them to feel God's love for them and hear the whisperings of the Holy Ghost. I want their learning to take place in their minds and in their hearts. I think that's such a beautiful way to express what diligent learning is, learning that helps students not just know something, but feel it, do something with it so that it will actually make a change in their lives. Our goal is to help students become converted to Christ while they're with us, not just to extend an invitation to them as they walk out the door. So as we look at section 124, the Doctrine and Covenants, as I was looking at the learning pattern, of course, the first step of the learning pattern is to establish relevant context. A couple of years ago, I got sidetracked on the world's worst vacations. And so I wanted to share just a few of them with you. This is for $3. You can take a tour of the sewers of Paris. You walk 500 yards through the Paris sewers. That's a $3 vacation that no one will ever want to go on. In Parque Eco Alberto, a Mexican town, they offer illegal border crossing experiences for $18. This is a crossword puzzle cruise at $1,600. And activities include classes, contests, of course, lots and lots of crossword puzzles. There's an ice hotel in Sweden that you can stay in for $400 a day. You sleep on a bed of ice covered in fur blankets. In Cambodia, you can shoot farm animals with rocket launchers for $400. You pick your animals, you pick your weapons, and then they match up the price. Now, maybe some of those sound fun to you, but they didn't sound that fun to me. Especially as I think about what the saints were greeted with when they got to Commerce, Illinois, which will become Nauvoo. The idea of a really bad vacation came to mind. This is what Illinois swamps look like. And Commerce looked like this. And if you remember, in section 124, the saints have been through over the last 2 years since section 123 was received. They have been kicked out of their state and their homes. They've had to walk across the frozen winter floor while Joseph Smith sat in prison. They got kicked out of Quincy, and then eventually they find a home in this mosquito-infested swamp. Then they call it Nauvoo, which of course is Hebrew for beautiful. And it becomes just that, a beautiful, gorgeous, shining jewel of a city and a cornerstone of Zion. As I've studied this, I've seen a pattern repeated enough times and highlighted in section 124 that I'm starting to think it's not just accidental. If you think about it, when the saints get to Jackson County, Missouri, it is a backwater, frontier town, godless place, according to the members of the church when they first get there, and yet they're able to turn it into Zion. They get to Commerce, Illinois, which is a mosquito-infested swamp, and they turn it into Nauvoo. In just a couple of short years, they will make the long trek to the Utah desert, and they will make the desert blossom like a rose. And the more I think about it, the more I realize I don't think this is God's backup plan. Meaning, I don't think he wanted them to have a beautiful place, but it didn't work out. And so he had to give them this kind of backup plan for them to work with. I think it was intentional. Listen to the language of section 124. Verily, thus saith the Lord unto you, my servant Joseph Smith. I'm well pleased with your offering and acknowledgments which you have made, for unto this end have I raised you up, that I might show forth my wisdom through the weak things of the earth. And then verse 2, your prayers are acceptable before me. And in answer to them, I say unto you that you are now called immediately to make a solemn proclamation of my gospel and of this stake which I have planted to be a cornerstone of Zion, which shall be polished with the refinement which is after the similitude of a palace. In other words, I think a characteristic about Christ is that he likes to take unpolished, maybe even ugly, broken, weak things and make them polished, beautiful, strong things. Now, when we think of our students, they know intimately what it feels like to be weak. Teenagers are notoriously negative about their own self-image. They might think that they're ugly or that they're broken, or at the very least that they're unpolished. And far from them coming to understand that God allows that, they need to understand that God intends that he likes to take the unfinished and make it finished, that he likes to take the unpolished and make it polished. And so as you study with your students, you might ask them at the beginning of this week to think of something in their lives that they feel looks kind of like that commerce swamp, that's ugly, that's broken, that just isn't working. And as they study section 124 this week, what could they do to turn that ugly, broken, unfinished thing over to the Lord and work with him to make it beautiful? With the outcome being at the end of this week, they can look at that particular thing in their life, whether it's a relationship with somebody or a mistake or a personality trait that they're working on or a particular doubt or worry. The goal is at the end of the week, they'll be able to look at that and say, you know what, it's become beautiful. Whether that means it's been corrected or healed or fixed, or whether that means they've come to appreciate what that weakness or that struggle can teach them. Let's help our students this week experience what the members of the church experienced in the 1840s, what it feels like to take something and make it beautiful. God bless you in all that you do, brothers and sisters, and we'll talk to you next week.